Hello, my name is Sarah Clark of Create Move Pilates, and today I'm here to talk to you about variations on the classic Pilates move, the 100. At the end of this video, I will provide a link so that you can see the full exercise. But this is going to be more about talking about different ways that you can modify the 100 to make it more challenging or to make it easier so that it can meet you where you are at. All right, so let's break it down. The 100 has a breath component. You're breathing in a staccato style breath. So you're inhaling for 5 beats and you're exhaling for 5 beats. This can be incredibly challenging at the beginning, all right? But it's very important because this is part of what gets your heart rate up and makes the 100s a more cardio style Pilates exercise. So it's really important to work on getting your breath right and not just hanging out in one of these easier breaths that I'm about to give you. So the easiest breath that you could possibly do is to inhale solid for those 5 counts and exhale solid for those 5 counts. And I see a lot of people leaning on that breath throughout their entire Pilates practice and their entire Pilates experience. But we want to develop beyond that breath. So we want to really bring in that staccato style beat. So we're going to practice. You could start with just breathing in for 5 counts, just breathing out for 5 counts. But then I will go into turning the 100s into 3s. So usually you're breathing in 5, but maybe you want to start breathing in 3. And sometimes I do teach it this way in my videos. So if you're breathing in 3s, that allows your lung capacity to still develop, because that's really the problem, is that your lungs don't have enough capacity to breathe that way. So it allows them to develop and it allows you to build up to the 5s. So if you were breathing in 3s, it'd be inhale 2, 3, exhale 2, 3. And you'd practice that for 10 sets, okay? And that would make 1 round of the 100s for you. All right, so that is some variation on the breathing. So we would go from breathing in and out solid for the 5 counts to breathing in 3s to breathing in the traditional 5 beats, okay? Our next variation is the way I actually tend to teach the 100s most often, and the way that I show it in my 100s video that I'm going to link to at the end of this. And that is having your legs in tabletop. So the 100 looks like this if you have your legs in tabletop. So this is one variation that you could have for your legs. Another way that you could have your legs is extended with the heels together and the toes apart so they create a V. Okay, and you're squeezing those heels together. This would be the traditional position for your 100s, maybe a little lower, okay? But one of the reasons that we have the legs in tabletop is because the lever is shorter, which means there's less weight in the legs, which means it's easier to keep the low back stable and against the mat, which is very, very important in this exercise, because if you can't keep your low back against the mat, you will end up feeling it in your back later. And unfortunately, in lots of large group Pilates classes, that's a common complaint, is that after class, your low back's a little sore. So if that's something you experience during the 100s, you just want to bend those knees. If you've been living in a bent knee position and you want to take it to the next level, you just want to simply extend those legs, bring the heels together, toes apart, like I explained. Oftentimes, I encourage people to start with their legs long and then bend them if they're unable to keep the low back down throughout the exercise. And sometimes I'll even cue halfway through so that people know when it's time to bend their knees if they would like. Another option for the 100s, and this one is great for people that suffer from any like herniated discs in the upper back or the neck, or people that have osteoporosis or penia and you're not really allowed that forward flexion for whatever reason. Just lie your head down on the mat and focus on beating the arms with gusto, okay? Because that beating the arms, it's designed to throw you off balance, but it's also designed to get the blood flowing through your body. Because again, the hundreds is one of the most cardio style exercises in the traditional Pilates repertoire. So far we've talked about breath, we've talked about where your feet should be, and we've talked about laying your head down if your body doesn't allow for forward flexion, or if halfway through the hundreds you start feeling neck tension. Just lay the head down. So you can kind of practice combining these variations in different ways to strengthen your body in order to make it up to the full version. Unfortunately, if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, you should probably always leave your head down just to keep your spine safe. So we've covered the legs and external rotation. The next thing, we're going to move into more challenging positions for the hundreds. If you're feeling like you've conquered the hundreds and you need to add some challenge to that, these are going to be great for you. So the first would be a deadlift, which is basically where you're lying on the ground and you lift up into your hundreds from this position. So the hands would come up to the sky, the heels would be externally rotated already and digging into each other and into the floor a little bit, which creates a lot of work in my legs. And then I'm just going to exhale, lift everything up, coming into that hundreds position, making sure that my low back hits the mat. And then you'd start your hundreds from here. So that is, my opinion, one of the most challenging ways to get up, but it's also a way that Joe Pilates would traditionally teach it. The other thing that you can do to make the hundreds more challenging, if that's what you need, is that you can continue to beat the arms and lower and lift the legs in your 5 count. So you would lower for 5 and lift for 5, and lower for 5 and lift for 5. And that would be adding an extreme challenge to your already challenging hundreds exercise. I hope that you find these variations useful, and please feel free to ask me questions in the comments below, just in case I didn't cover exactly what you needed to know. I'm sure if you have the question, others do too. My name is Sarah Clark. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you around again soon. Bye!